we're responsible for our own well being. But if this many people are burning out in the same system, it can't be a coincidence. Welcome back to Teacher Tales, where we give you the keys to overcoming teacher burnout to find work-life balance and educational bliss if it still exists. I'm your host, Tony Rambles, and on this interview episode of Teacher Tales, we explore chronic absenteeism, playing our way through burnout, and advocating for change beyond the classroom. We've got ourselves a union man. Andrew, what's up, man? Thank you for coming on the show. We've been kind of having this in the works for a little bit. How you feel, man?
I feel a lot better now that spring break started.
Yes,
I think a lot of people are going to feel that.
So at the time of recording, it's March 16th. Spring break is almost over for me. And I spent a lot of it playing video games, doing homework. So it's exactly what I wanted to do.
Yeah, no, I love video games. It's a good way to decompress. I used to tell my students I can't play a game during the school year because I get so obsessive. I'm one of the people who went 1,000 hours into Skyrim or something crazy until I got embarrassed.
You said the magic words. Skyrim.
Yes, all right. So good.
I talk about games with my kids all the time, but you know what? That's another time in another episode. I think we can. So, Andrew, first tell everybody where you're from, what you teach, how long you've been teaching, and possibly some of your other roles in education.
Sure. So I'm Andrew. I teach 10th and 11th grade English in Jefferson County, Colorado, and I love it, actually. I've been teaching, this is my 10th year. I went to college in New York. I grew up there. I had some really phenomenal teachers. I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue living. And the reason I'm still here is because my 10th grade English teacher, Dr. Snyder, had us read, because it was an honors class and nobody wanted to do the reading. People wanted the grade. And
right.
She had us read The Wizard of Oz. But she did it, the way we read it was through the lens of the Buddhist middle path. And it was a way of looking at the world that I'd never... It was opening my eyes for the first time, because it didn't occur to me that other people had felt the same kinds of things, or had the same kind of thoughts, and it made me feel part of something bigger. So I'm still here. Thanks, Dr. Snyder. And that's...
Shout out.
I get to teach... Yeah. And now I get to teach 10th grade English, and I got a letter hanging on my wall from a student a while ago who confirmed that I'm right where I need to be. I started in a charter school at Jeffco. That place was crazy. It was nuts. It was really good for to start out and get mediocre at a lot of things. And I feel since I moved to the school, I'm at Golden High School. Go Demons. It's the second oldest high school in the U.S. contiguously, if you believe the Wikipedia page. Yeah. And I really love it there. I've had supportive principals. Nothing's perfect, but we went through COVID together. Even before that, they really let me take ideas and run with it. And I love my students. I love my coworkers. Jeffco's pay could be better, but I think that's everywhere. So I'm also the treasurer of our local union until June, because I decided not to run again. I needed a break. And I help out with the bargaining team, some of the organizing, and I'm working on addressing chronic absenteeism at the policy level. So a couple weeks ago, we were at the Capitol and talking to the State Board of Ed, and one of them came to my classroom a few years ago. So she and I text every now and then. I've done a bunch of stuff.
Okay, so how do you decide? Because clearly you like a lot of things and you want to do a lot of things. Number one, how do you decide what deserves your time? Because I know when you're stretched thin, it could be very difficult to find the time to at least be mediocre at all of these different things. And sometimes things fall by the wayside. Like I got these guitars here. You can't see them, but I have 4 guitars and I haven't picked them up since my son was born, just because they just didn't fit anymore into what I had to do. So how do you figure out what you want to do and where to spend your time?
That is a really difficult thing to do. That's a great question.
Well, this is coming from somebody who feels the same way. Like, I like sports. I like theater. So I like to spend time, with the theater kids and drama. I teach public speaking. So there's a very easy through line. I used to coach 2 sports. I have my guitars. I got my podcast. I do stuff with my church. Like, I'm very much in the same vein of like, I like all of these things. Now in my brain, I'm thinking, how can I fit everything into the schedule?
I think that for me, like, education really is a calling, and I'm very fortunate in that, like, my wife is really good at accounting. That's like one of the only reasons we were able to like purchase a house in Colorado is so I recognize like that's a privilege. That's a privilege I have that like I know doesn't exist for a lot of people.
Woo,
So,
man. Hey, listen.
yeah. she subsidizes my teaching lifestyle. It's amazing.
We're working on that part.
Good luck. They so I guess the things are like one is, does it need to happen? Like the thing that motivated me to get so involved in bargaining is I have a friend who since she was 16, she and her like high school, it's like a quintessential American mountain town story, right? Like she and her high school sweetheart, they're lovely together. They got married. They're so sweet. And they've been saving since they were 16 to like buy a house together, right? And
wow.
So just it's like out of a Bruce Springsteen song. And so they did everything right, everything. They like saved money, they scrimped, she picked up she drives for she does Uber Eats,
Uber,
Lyft. Yeah, yep. And everything, right? She like picked up all the extra sub jobs she could during the school day to like, that extra 20 or whatever bucks at a time. And they were finally able to buy a house a few years ago. Then because somebody messed up their escrow, like they were going to lose their house, and the way we get raises, like it through no fault of her own, you would have had to check your like the escrow account balance every single month, like to see it. And it was
and then you don't know what the tax thing is going to be because that stuff comes out later on.
Yeah, exactly. But it was one of those like that's she like shared that with me, and that's where I started showing up to like every bargaining session because the things that really motivate people to do stuff is like stories that affect the people close to them. And I just like, and teachers
had to
get
do
closer
something.
teachers get closer to their coworkers than I think any other profession. Like, because we are literally like, I think I spend more time with them than depending on the week than my wife. Through no fault of our own. It's just like, so
it's the job.
Yeah. Like it's those individual stories, I think. And I'm just really curious about stuff and I like seeing how things are connected. So I guess like the thing that motivates me is, will it help people? Like, is it, because I think service is just a really important like core value that keeps us human. And I really like being a service to people.
Because people cared, and you being one of those people, and you guys, I guess you just figured out you must be a pretty good leader and a pretty good speaker, because to get people to mobilize, or at least somebody in this circle, because to get people to mobilize, you got to get them to care enough to get off of their couch and out in the streets and into these meetings. And so that kind of leadership and being able to grab people's attention in a way that is very difficult nowadays, that deserves a golf clap because I don't want to mess up the audio.
Thank you. It's
Well done.
Teachers are like right now, if we have to compete with TikTok on the daily, like we get to be pretty good at trying to direct people's attention to what we think matters.
I want to ask this question because you do a lot of stuff. How do you not get burned out? Like, how do you survive on the very little sleep that I'm sure you're getting? Because, you keep doing stuff and you add stuff to your plate and maybe you shift something off. The next thing comes on. And I know you got to get your gaming in. So how do you not get burned out on all the things that you do?
The short answer is I do. If this many people in the same system are burning out, it can't be like just all on the individual and their responsibilities,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
we're responsible for our own actions and our own health and our own mental health and our own professional like well-being. But also like it can't be a coincidence to
Yes.
do that. I picked the thing that like caused me the most like mental anguish going home. For me, it was the parent emails from like a very small minority of parents. So I do have a GPT prompt saved for drafting emails.
Yes, sir.
And
Chad,
it's
my
handy.
assistant Chad.
I just pick things that are like sucking up a lot of time and things that like if they could change would give me a chance to like re-emphasize what I really love about teaching, which is like there's something special about like seeing the light. I had it with my class like right before spring break, and I didn't think I would. Where like we were reading the things they carried, and we got to this idea of like reality is subjective and based on your perception. And then we ended up talking about it. They just had so many questions because sophomores love stoner thoughts. Like, do we all see the same color? So I look at the things that keep me from doing that and try to figure out a way to do them faster, more efficiently, or sometimes just not do them because not everything is equally important.
That's what people do. Like, that's not just an education thing, but humanly, eventually people get fed up. And what do? They come up with solutions that can sometimes be very silent, but work. Sometimes be very loud and piss people off. Yep. But when people get tired, they're going to do something. Something is going to happen. Something's got to break. It may be them. It may be somebody else. It may be something. So, I'll ask this question. What feelings or emotions would you associate with burnout? Like what identifiers would go with it if you had to go, dang, Andrew, I'm getting burned out. Like this is what it looks like. How would you like identify those things in yourself?
So the first time I really noticed it was and was able to name it was during COVID. Like COVID. Deep COVID. Yeah, like, and not even, like, I helped, by the way, anyone who says education is not innovative was not here trying to figure out how to reinvent school in about a week. Like,
man,
they're just wrong. It's just a political talking point to help undermine it, public ed. But, yeah, so, it was during deep COVID, and I clapped back, like, way harder than necessary at an assistant principal. Like in a public meeting, and I had to call her right after. Like, I believe that if we cause harm, we should do our best to make amends.
Yes.
So like, yes. Right away. And if I didn't do that, like that would have permanently damaged that relationship because she was one of the best bosses I've ever had. And she told me just take a few days off. And that was when I noticed that like for me, burnout means I stopped sleeping through the night. Like I wake up at like 3 a.m. randomly. 2 or 3 somewhere in there. For me, like, so I notice a lot of the physical stuff before I actually could name the feelings. I think that's important. So like, I get more irritable, less patient, and I tend to be a pretty patient person, especially with students. But I get less patient. I'm just like tired, and it's not just from not sleeping. It's like the kind of tired that comes from expending an amount of emotional energy that I don't actually have in reserves. I can't, and and this is probably like this is the telltale one for me, is like when I wake up, I like can't get out of bed. And like
Yep.
it
Yep.
takes about 45 minutes to do the to be or not to be is and participate in this day or not like conversation in my head to like, okay, get out. And then, maybe I get a shower, maybe I don't, depending on how late I'm going to be, like that's,
Yeah.
so for me, like I recognize the physical parts of burnout a lot quicker than the other parts. It's hard to find time. So I do like teletherapy. Half the time I'm still in my classroom doing the appointment with the door locked, like, um,
Right.
but
However you got to
yeah,
get it.
yeah. So it's and I'm real fortunate that like that's available to me again. So um that's kind of how I recognize burnout. And
Yeah.
when that happens, I take some days off.
Hey, it's okay to take days off.
Yeah.
When you were talking about telling yourself to get up, for me, that always looks like a quote from one of my favorite movies all time, The Matrix.
Yeah.
And Trinity is, she's laying there and she's like, "Get up, Trinity, get up." And she gets up and she does her thing. Trinity is the best. Uh, Matrix 4 was terrible, but I understood what they were doing there. That's definitely another conversation for another day. Uh, but like you, it's kind of being short, feeling like why, or this sucks. One of the main things though is I'm not talking to people. That is something I'm always doing. I'm always on my off period. I have to get out of my classroom. I got to go see the teachers that I know and like. That's different people usually throughout the week. But I'm social. When I'm not social, I can tell like, dang, I'm having a difficult time because I don't feel like being around people, and I always feel like being around people. So knowing your tells or your signs help you to, like you said, get the help that you need, change your perspective, get some therapy, take some days off. That is very important, teacher listening. You got to know your signs so that you can do what it needs to be done in order to, kind of get past that burnout, because it doesn't last forever, and the more you recognize it, the faster you can mitigate it, change it, flip the script, so to speak. It looks
Yeah,
like you
thanks.
have something to say.
No, no, no. When you're just thanks, you just taught me another sign. For me, because I do a real similar kind of thing where like half the time I'm walking around in my off period, like doing some kind of organizing thing or checking in with people or um,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, But like outside of school, it's like knowing that you have all of these people that know and love you, and like almost feeling like you can't or shouldn't or won't reach out to any of them. So like for me, that
Mm.
burnout is also like almost a prison of my own making, because like it's
Wow.
outside of school, it's like a self-chosen like isolation,
You're such an
because
English teacher, man.
yeah,
A
I'm
prison of
plagiarizing it
my
from
own
somewhere.
making.
I stole
Wow.
it from some book I read, I promise. um but yeah, it's like that. Thank you for that's another one of my, I'm gonna write that down.
There you go. So while you're writing that down, it is time to get to the 5 W's, and you
Okay.
know them. So,
Who, what, when, where, why, right?
uh, who, what, when, where, why. I actually used to do the H, but I was like, it's too clunky. Let's just get the H out of there. So,
Get the H out of there. Well
okay,
played.
I will let you choose which one you want to do first.
I'll be basic and let's just go in order. Who, what, when, where, why.
Okay, like who set that order though? Like that's just, I don't know. Just thinking of it right now. Like who
It's
said
got
who was
random. I
who was
don't
supposed to
know.
be first? There,
I
that's
don't know.
it. That's what it is. Okay. Who in education has helped you the most? This could be like now, this could be when you were a new teacher. I know that person changes over time, or sometimes it doesn't.
So it has for So when I first moved to Colorado, I had one friend in the state and no jobs, and I got hired illegally at this charter school because I wasn't actually licensed. So if I didn't pass like whatever it was the praxis, if I didn't pass the praxis because we took a different one in New York, they would have fired me. So it was a rough first year, but I met this math teacher. He works at another school in the district now. We both actually hopped out of that charter school like a year apart, but he got me more involved in the local union. He helped me a lot, but also when I wasn't gonna have a place to live, he let me like live in his house for a while.
Wow. Real friend.
Yeah, and he introduced me to disc golf, which is I forgot to mention that earlier, but like disc golf is one of the things that kind of keeps me sane sometimes.
Wow.
I've got another one. He's also a math teacher. I like math teachers, I guess. They help. And he's a real good dude. When you're like trying to pick an insurance plan, you need an adult, right? So like he's that person I can ask those kinds of questions to, you know? Like how do you retire eventually? Like, you know, stuff like that. So I'm fortunate where it's those two, and there's like dozens more that I'm fortunate to have met.
Okay. Our next W is what? What? I think this is a great question for you. What's your escape plan? If you plan to escape at all.
Okay, so I have a few, if I need it. The first is I'm really good at knowing the contract, so I know like if I wanted to take a year off and try something else, I could do it so that they would hold my job. So like, yeah, so I'm real fortunate to like have that knowledge to have helped other people access it. So I know like how to try something else for a year, see if it works, and hold my job so that there's still that safety. I've met a lot of people, so like, and this is a real problem in education where the further you get from students, the easier being in education is. But I really do like helping people with, I really like helping teachers. I like teachers. They're fun. Like boring people don't become teachers. And if I think they're boring, it's because we haven't talked enough. I haven't listened enough.
Yes.
Yeah. So like, I really, being a teacher on special assignment, at least in my district, would be a lot of fun. And I already know a lot of people. I already kind of know the landscape a little bit from some of the organizing, and I think that I would have something to offer. So that's, I don't know, whatever, I'll say it. This won't air right away. If this airs after April, then it's fine. But I did apply for a teacher on special assignment job. Even if it doesn't, it's fine, whatever. Don't worry about it. But yeah, so I applied for one of those. And
now, what is special assignment?
I don't know. It depends. It's so it's like a job category, at least in my district. We call them TOSAs. So you're a teacher, you get teacher pay. You work the teacher calendar, but you work on like projects at the central office, or you support teachers in schools and in classrooms. So like I would love being like an educational technology teacher on special assignment, so an ed tech TOSA.
Like a Swiss Army knife.
Kinda, yeah. Like where it kind of depends on who your boss is, but you work on projects that ultimately benefit teachers to benefit students. So AI is kind of
sounds
crazy
fun.
right now. Yeah, exactly. It sounds like fun, but also you can pee whenever you want. So like there's
Okay, next W.
Yeah, fair.
My favorite question. When did you begin to feel confident in yourself as a teacher?
So I think there's a cycle to that. So like the first time, not after my first year, I felt like I was worse than ever.
Oh, no, definitely not.
Yeah, but what I didn't realize, I had 6 preps every day.
And my first year, 6 preps?
Yeah, and it was
that's insane.
And it was like teaching 2 classes in the same room at the same time was 2 of them, or 4 of them. Weirdly, it was a very strange place to work. But I think year three, I really felt like I started to have it down. And then I moved to another school. And then probably, so I guess for me, it's in like 3 year increments.
Hmm.
About the third year, I feel like I'm really good at this. And then the next year, I feel like I know nothing, um, which is cool. I have something to look forward to.
Okay, next W. Where'd you see yourself 5 years ago? Are you there, or did it change along the way?
Oh, 5 years ago, I never could have predicted any of this. So 5 years ago, I was like writing grants to get. Actually, I wrote a grant to get a disc golf course at my high school, and
Ooh.
so I was like really into grant writing 5 years ago to like get stuff for the classroom of the school, and now like a few weeks ago, I met with like one of the district admin about like curriculum implementation and stuff. So like it never would have occurred to me to that, and
Mm.
I still feel, and it feels kind of impostery sometimes. Still, like I still feel like kind of like I did when I was 23 and really didn't know what I was doing, and it's
Yeah.
like
Who
amazing.
hired me?
Yeah,
Why?
exactly. Illegally, like they must have been desperate. That's the only explanation. But like so I still feel like that, and like I don't have whatever I think somebody should have to be able to do some of the things I do. But the reality is like just like so many other educators, like I've had a ton of experiences doing a ton of stuff that I didn't even realize the extent and implications of the things I was learning. And
Hmm.
like all of that knowledge and experience I get to bring to bear with like in whatever arena I'm in. And so no, I never could have predicted this. Also, it was 2019, like different world.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
totally different world.
yeah, like back then, it was like 3 days before we pivoted to remote learning, and I just emailed my boss like, "Hey, so do we have a plan, or should someone write that?" And then the next day, I was like in her office with a sub, like writing how to do
Yep.
remote
Yep.
learning, like, and then
Not
other
surprised at
schools picked it
all.
up. Yeah, so it was one of those like, if just saying yes to stuff that seemed interesting and like it would be helpful, has led to a place where I never would have imagined.
Okay. We got our last question, which is, why do people quit education?
I think people quit education like for so many individual reasons, but I
Hmm.
don't think it's about the pay. I think they quit education because they cannot have a life that like they believe they should have and they deserve uh, and work as a teacher. So like for example, it used to be a lot traditionally like teaching has been
Hmm.
mostly a dominated by women. So like this, it still is. So the second you can't, it's like impossible to raise or have a family. And if that's what you want to do, it's no longer an option. So like I think that people quit education because they can't have a life that they believe that they want while being in it.
Man, I think that's the first. I think that's the first answer I've got that's like that. That's more about personal reasons and not something education related. Because people can't have the life that they believe that they deserve, or the life that they want. They envisioned for themselves, when they wrote the storybook when they was when they were 8 years old.
Yeah, no, I to be fair, it's on my mind because that was what one of the school board groups talked about like this week that I helped organize. They were talking
Yeah.
about like family leave policies and stuff. So that's just what's on my mind. Ask me again in a week, it could be different.
Could be different. They left because they wanted to play more video games. That's
Yeah,
why.
that's why I want to be a Tosa.
Okay, before we get out of here, what advice would you give to a new teacher? And what advice would you give to an experienced teacher?
Um, if you were a new teacher, find an experienced teacher who is still happy.
Yes.
Like, because I'm still a teacher because I still believe in it because I still have this is the life I wanted for myself. I've wanted this since I was 15, and I still believe that it's like doable, possible, and that I can do measurable and demonstrative good. And if I was a new teacher and all the people around me were really negative, I probably wouldn't still be here because I would have lost that hope. And if I'm
Right.
So I like to think of myself as a little bit more of an experienced teacher now. And what I love is I love helping. So we have somebody new to our department who it's her first year as a full-time teacher, and she's phenomenal, and she gives me hope, and she asks questions that are great, and she has awesome ideas, and it's really cool to see somebody else, not just students, but like it's cool to see newer educators also have that light bulb moment.
Yes.
Um,
I love working with new
yeah.
teachers. Okay. Experienced teacher. That person could be burned out or not. That person could be listening now. What advice would you give that person, that teacher?
Yeah, find a new teacher who's really excited and be
There we
happy
go.
with them. Be happy for them. No, I seriously though, like I think that if we move our feet, like the mind follows. So like honestly, it sounds silly, but that's one of the reasons I got so involved in this advocacy thing and started doing stuff is because like by taking steps toward that and making the systemic as well as the individual better for people and myself, I've found more hope. So like like I I had a really good friend tell me if I was feeling down, help somebody and don't get caught. And that's really helpful. It's kept me sane, and it's kept me here. So that's the advice I would give to an experienced teacher is help a colleague and don't get caught.
Well, Andrew, AG, I think that's a great place. I think that's a great place to leave it. Thank you, man, for coming on and sharing all of your experience. I think we got about 5 more episodes that we have to do just based on this one.
Yeah, this
all
is
right.
a lot of fun. Thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
I hope you all enjoyed that episode with me and Andrew. It was great talking to him. I'd never talked extensively to anyone who had served in the union. So that's some great information. I hope you all were able to gain something from. It was a pleasure having him on, as I knew it would be. But before we get out of here, remember, we need each other. Find a mentor or be a mentor because connection keeps us together. Also, you never know what kind of impact you are going to make, so be mindful of the example you set for others. Because you enjoyed what you learned from this episode, go join the Teacher Triumphs Facebook group. Me and Jen created it as a way to help you overcome burnout and balance life by building community with other wonderful educators. Thank you for listening. Keep teaching, keep learning, and I will see you all on the next journey.